Hello, hello. Welcome to the 37th episode of the Veggies Abroad Vegan Travel Podcast with the Chief Veggie Pusher, myself, Rebecca Gady Sawicki. Some of you may already be familiar with Veggies Abroad, but for those of you who aren't, we're a full-service vegan travel company that offers custom planning services, small group trips, a helpful blog chock full of just about everything a vegan or veg-curious traveler could possibly need, and this podcast. With this podcast, I aim to amplify the voices of businesses championing vegan and vegan-friendly options, responsible tourism practices, the environment, community impact, all things that we need more of and must actively support. So today we've got a fabulous spotlight on a destination you might not have considered visiting before, Colombia. Whether you have or haven't thought about it, it is a destination that absolutely should be on everyone's radar. I just got home from a trip there a handful of days ago and took copious notes to share with all of you everything from abundant veggie options to incredibly innovative ways to support local neighborhoods and transform a city. But first, we have another 2026 vegan tour to talk about. Earlier this month, we announced a tour to Vietnam for November 2026. There is so much packed into this trip, like learning about the inspiring conservation work of Save Vietnam Wildlife, watching the magic of traditional water puppetry with a local family, unwinding on a private veggie-filled voyage through the stunning Bai Tu Long Bay, and wandering the lantern-lit streets of Hoi An. Oh, and we also have vegan tours snuck in there as well, too. I almost missed that one. And that's just the beginning. If you've ever thought about visiting Vietnam, this special adventure definitely has your name all over it. You can find all of the details and more on our website. And in addition to this one for Vietnam, we also for next year have a trip to the Galapagos, which was announced last month, and it is currently halfway full. So if you have ever thought about that one, I wouldn't wait too long because that will definitely sell out, I would say, in the next couple of months. And if you're curious about what a veggie tour is all about, you can follow Veggies Abroad on Instagram because next month I'm taking a group to Iceland to cruise around the country's famous ring road. We will explore the country's beautiful scenery, get up close to icebergs, hopefully spot a few puffins, and so much more. Okay, since there is so much to talk about with Colombia, I think I'll wrap up my updates so we can jump right into it. Otherwise, this will go on forever. And joining me for this fun chat is my semi-part-time traveling partner, Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Rebecca. Welcome back from Colombia.
Thanks. I know this was a trip that you really wish that you could have gone on and you were a little bit jealous of from my photos. So hopefully you can live vicariously through it with this recap.
In general, I'm jealous of the places that you go. But yeah, this one, your pictures looked so amazing and some of the food looks so great. And just the stories of the people that you've told me while you were there, while we were texting back and forth, and how you kind of immersed yourself in their culture was really cool to hear.
Yeah, it was definitely a memorable trip and it was better than I expected. I don't honestly know what I was expecting, but it beat all expectations. It was really terrific. And so a little backstory on this, people always ask me if you go on trips. And no, I'd say 99% of the time you do not. One, many of them are not appropriate because they are totally business related, like this one was. So this was considered a familiarization trip. And what that means, or it's short for a fam trip, and what that means is that businesses, tour companies, destinations will host these trips to bring in people from the travel industry to learn about, their products, their services, their destination, because they know if they get you in the door that you're going to have a better chance or you're going to be more willing to sell it because if you experience it, you fall in love with it. So that's what this trip was, which is never appropriate for you to come along on. But then there's also the other side of, I can't afford to send you everywhere around the world. Mm-hmm. But you do get to hear all about it, and then you get to help me recap it on this podcast. So that works out. And I guess that kind of answers a little bit of a question of why did I go as well too, which was a question other people had asked me. One, I wanted to learn about Colombia. I had not been. Two, I am interested in more South American countries as possible tour destinations. And I always love the opportunity to go somewhere that maybe wasn't on my regular radar. So I think that recaps it.
So fun fact, this was the first time you set foot in South America, correct?
Yeah, it was. It was my first South American adventure, which I'm really disappointed in myself that it's taken this long to get me on that continent, but I'm glad it did. And now I can't wait to return.
How many continents have you been on now?
Oh, I don't know. Geez, quite a few of them. I haven't been to Antarctica or Australia. So there's a couple still for me to hit.
Places to go.
Always,
so tell me
places to go.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the trip, like just the itinerary, basically. Can you tell me what the plan was, what cities you were going to and regions?
Yeah, so it was 9 days, and it started in Bogotá, which is the capital of Colombia. Then from there went to Salento and the coffee region, which also includes the Cocora Valley. And then from there, we took a bus to Medellín and ended the trip in Cartagena, which is on the Caribbean coast of the country in the north. And so with this itinerary, we did really explore a variety of different things. Like went from kind of like Seattle-like weather in Bogotá to Caribbean weather in shorts in Cartagena and everything in between, and had like cityscapes, incredible lush jungle. It was really amazing. And it was really amazing to see what a diverse country it is. I was really surprised of everything that there was to offer. I mean, and there is even, so the country is made up of 40% of it is the Amazon. And we didn't even like get close to that, which, blows my mind with the amount of ground that we covered. So really like so much. And I'm really glad that the itinerary was set up like that so that you had really good representation of what all is possible.
So wait, one of your favorite topics I know is packing. So like, how did you prepare and plan for such a diversity of climates?
That's a really good question. And honestly, Colombia annoyed me a little bit with this because so when I'm planning stuff for myself or I have to like get myself out the door, it's a struggle. I'm not even going to lie. I always tell people that I'm working with, like, get your stuff together. Like, don't wait till the last minute, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, I am 3 days before I'm going to take off and I'm looking at the weather and reading about like what to expect and having my mind blown because I'm going to have everything from like, I don't know, spring-like weather or Seattle-like weather here to 80 degrees and really hot and humid. And I remember looking at that thinking, God bless it, how am I going to pack for this? And so, I mean, honestly, I did a lot of layers. I had to bring like kind of like a mid-weight jacket for Bogotá. And then over that, I put a rain jacket on it. And then I also had like a zip up and other like long sleeves. And I brought jeans. Like this is the first time I think I've packed jeans for something in a while. And I needed all of it. The first day that I had in Bogotá, I was freezing because it rained and I had wet feet. I saw a woman on the street and she had put like these covers on her shoes. And I was like, oh, she's smart. She planned ahead. She's not like this bonehead who planned 3 days in advance. But yeah, that took a little bit of extra effort to kind of negotiate the extra layers. And I still ended up, I think because I did it so last minute, which I shouldn't have done. And because I was up against so much with like a variety of different, seasons, we'll say, I ended up still packing too much stuff. Like I ended up rewearing quite a few things, which I always do. And I should have known better, but it is what it is.
What was that saying that they have in Bogota about the rain? Can you say it in Spanish and then say it in English?
No, I don't know that I remember exactly the saying. I think it was something, and no, I'm not giving it to you in Spanish as well.
I think I remember it.
Barely remember it in English. If you go to Bogota and you don't get wet, you didn't go to Bogota. Something along those lines. Or you didn't get rained on, you didn't go to Bogota. A local said that to me, and I laughed, and I was like, well, I went to Bogota.
So how long was the trip?
It was 9 days in total.
Did that feel like enough, or did you feel like you needed more time there?
Oh, that's a good question. I wish I would have had an extra day in Medellín and an extra day maybe in Cartagena as well, because I only got to explore the walled city in Cartagena. But I mean, it's all the reason to, want to return. You're never going to get everywhere. I mean, unless you move there.
So you were in Bogota, 3 days? Salento.
3 days, yeah.
2 days. Yeah. Salento, 2 days.
2 days.
Cocora Valley, 2 days. Medellín, 2 days. And Cartagena, 1 day?
1 day, yeah, about that.
I don't know if the math just jived on that.
I don't know either, but I think we just move on.
Okay,
You're a math minor as well, which is kind of absurd.
Yeah, I think we actually did 10. I counted 10 days there.
Okay, well, we'll just move right on past that. It was 9 days total. Anyway.
The 9 day total, yeah. Well, half of one of the days was you traveling, I'm sure, right? I mean, yeah, between two places. So I think that's the difference. So it wasn't like a full day. But what was the title of the trip too, by the way?
Oh, it was called Cafe Colombia because there was a good focus on Colombia's coffee region, and we got to stay at a coffee estancia just outside of Salento and learn about the process of making coffee, growing the beans, and all of that. So that was really great. And I also learned that I think the coffee I purchase here does not have anywhere near the level of caffeine that it does in Colombia, because I felt like I had been hit by a bus at one point, and one afternoon I had to go and lay down because I'd had way too much cacao and way too much coffee, and I think I was going to die. But
I don't want to put you on Front Street, but do you think that Colombia has the best coffee that you've ever had before, or have you had better coffee?
Oh, geez. I don't know. So I do enjoy coffee, but I can't say that my palate is so refined to be able to taste all of the things that make coffee what it is. I also like to put oat milk and stuff in mine, and a true coffee connoisseur does not do any of that. They drink it au natural, because really good coffee, according to coffee growers, does not need anything in it. And I think that's a lie. But anyway, so let's get into more about Colombia and the things that I think were really special about it. And the first, and this is something that was brought up to me before going, and even now after, was a little bit of Colombia's history. So Colombia has a well-known history of violence, unfortunately. The country was trapped in a violent cycle for over 60 years. And that started in the late 40s, which is incredible to even think about. So you will meet people who have been alive for that entire cycle, who lived there through it. I like some of the stories, honestly, I just can't even fathom a little bit. And a lot of it started, like in so many places, because of inequality. People in more rural areas, in farmland areas, felt that the government was not working for them, that they were not being heard, that they had been forgotten, which I think that is a common thing that happens around the world. So it's not just a Colombian thing. And then in the 60s, these conditions got worse. They gave rise to guerrilla groups. Then the conflict continued, which gave rise to paramilitary groups and then drug cartels. And, we continued. Medellín has a long history of violence, was at one point known as the most violent city in the world, unfortunately. That has changed drastically. And that took huge human toll. Over nearly 300,000 people were killed during that time. Many Colombians became refugees within their own country because of war. Luckily, peace talks started in 2012, which not that long ago. And then an official peace accord was signed in 2016, which again, that's only 9 years ago. And since, so much has changed. I don't have any kind of a base to be able to compare the country before and after, but I'm glad I didn't. I think most people wouldn't want to have to live or experience that. So I can't imagine what it would have been like, but from my experience now, I think a completely different place. And of course there are still problems. And the country is still like working through those things. And I heard quite often that people who had left the country have now come back because they want to be a part of this change. They want to be a part of the country's next chapter, which is pretty inspiring. And I will say too, if you do visit Colombia, of course, you're probably curious about like, how did these things progress? So I would encourage you to do a little research before you go, and not badger locals about it. People get asked a lot about Pablo Escobar and, drug cartels and all of that. And to be fair, that's not the history that most locals want to talk about. That's not the thing that they really want to give airtime to, because it's over. They want to be past it. And I would encourage people to allow them to move past that. And if you want to learn more about that, there are ways in Medellín. There is a memorial. The name of it right now escapes me, but you can go and you can learn about the conflict there. There's also a museum in Medellín. There's a really great tour. I missed this tour and I'm still kicking myself. The timing didn't work out. It is a War and Peace tour, which goes through the country's history, like from indigenous times with, gold and everything up until recent times, to give you a really good idea of what has progressed, because it's not just what started in the 40s. There is so much that happened before that. So that is like one thing, caveat I would encourage people to think about, to be conscious of before jumping in and asking questions and all of that. There is something that's actually interesting. It's not law yet, but there is a bill, I think it's in their government system right now, that is seeking to stop or outlaw, I guess maybe would be the better phrase, any type of clothing or souvenirs or anything really with Pablo Escobar's face on it. Unfortunately, locals aren't buying this shit. Tourists are. And it's completely offensive. It'd be like going to Germany and buying something with Adolf Hitler on it. Like, totally offensive. Don't do it. That shouldn't be sold. And I hope it goes through.
Societally, how do you, having observed the people there, and having spent, I know it's only 10 days or 9 days or whatever it is, but having observed the people there, do you see the effects of the 60 years of violence on the people there? And if so, is there a certain way that you might see that it affects them to this day?
You know what? Oh yeah, that is a good one.
The reason I ask is just because I think the general stigma about going to Colombia is like, oh my gosh, it's so dangerous and violent. Like, why would you go there? But really, it's a people that are trying to emerge from this difficult history, and it's really from the pictures and the things you can see and everything. It looks like just a beautiful place, which is rich in culture and different things to see, which I know we're going to talk about next. But I just wonder if you can see the effects of that violence, like on the people and how they act, maybe, or.
So we met a man in Medellín, and he said, we're people walking from fear to hope. And so, I mean, I think that encapsulates all of it. Their spirit, their pride, their ingenuity, innovation, to keep going. And, that should be applauded.
I feel a little bit like it's like that in the USA right now. We are people that are starting to be in fear, but we're hopeful we can get through this terrible regime that we have going on right now.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were so many times with stories that people told, or the frustrations they shared about things that are going on with their country, that I thought about so many places around the world. I mean, including the US. The things that happened in Colombia or are happening are not things that are just specific to Colombia. These are the same things. We, as human beings, we love to repeat history. I don't know why we love to repeat history, but we just keep making the same mistakes. We keep doing the same things. We keep cutting off people. We keep thinking that something is going to be better when it's not. We cycle through shit. And I don't know. I honestly, I hope for us, and I hope for anywhere else around the world, you can put your head down and push through it.
So as Colombia has emerged from its difficult past, I'm sure that they have a very unique culture, but I'm also interested to hear about what is their largest export. I would think it's probably like coffee?
No, it's not. They are large exporters, unfortunately, of oil and coal. Those are their two largest industries. But given the change in the country, they are really trying to move more away from that and focus on tourism. They want to get more people in to experience the amazing, diversity of the country. And so they are working really hard with increasing those numbers. And so, I mean, hopefully their dependence on coal and oil changes, because those two things have a huge impact on their beautiful environment, which they are one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. They're in the top 5. So our guide did say that they are the second in the world by square mile, or maybe it's a little bit different mathematical equation with that. But when I was Googling, it looks like they're just like in the top 5 for most biodiverse.
He explained that they're per square mile, per square footage, they're the second most biodiverse country in the world, but they're technically
behind Brazil. Yes.
Okay.
So however you want to look at it, they're an incredibly biodiverse country. And so having, coal and oil being such a major industry really affects that. So yeah, hopefully they can.
So why is that? Why are they, what makes them the second most or top 5 most biodiverse country in the world? Like, what specifically makes them that? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So 40% of the country is made up of the Amazon, which, well, right off the bat there, you've got a huge, vast swath of the country that is really untouched by people. Colombia's Amazon region is not anywhere near as developed as some of the other regions in the world. And you can explore it. It does take a lot of effort to get into it, which I think would really pay off. And would be an amazing experience. There are also a huge amount of birds. It has, I think it's about 19,000 species of birds, which makes it one of the highest number of bird species a place has in the world, which is pretty cool. And it has coastlines on both sides of the country in the Caribbean and the Pacific, and includes the Andean mountains, savannas, and deserts. Well, along with the jungle as well, too, but we've already hit on the jungle. So there's so much diversity to see. The Andean mountains also make for a really unique experience with visiting the country because they do present a different challenge with getting around. You have to go around those mountains, but that also creates then different indigenous populations that are kind of cut off from the rest of Colombia and still operate in the ways they which for a really long time. There are approximately 87 different ethnic groups that speak 65 different languages in Colombia. Supposedly, it is the second most ethnically diverse country in the Americas after Brazil. Brazil really seems to keep taking top honors for so many things. Now, I kind of understand why Colombia has a little bit of a thorn in its side to its neighbor, Brazil. So aside from that, a really other unique thing about the country, and the next time any of you go to buy flowers, you should look and see where they're from. They're most likely from Colombia. It is the second largest exporter of flowers behind the Netherlands. And you can kind of see this in this industry, kind of on a very small scale, but you can see like the indigenous start of this industry firsthand in Medellín. Up in the mountains of Medellín, there are different flower farms, and we got to visit a man. His family runs a farm, and he is a traditional sietero. A sietero is it comes from the word silla, which means chair in Spanish, and it is from a time when indigenous peoples would strap these wooden chairs on their back, and they would generally carry produce, children, and even local noblemen up and down the mountain because getting up and down wasn't incredibly easy. Nowadays, the word sietero is applied to anyone who carries anything in the wooden frame on their back. It is really interesting because in Medellín in August, there is a flower festival. And so you can see these guys in like all of their like beautiful flower glory. They take this festival very seriously. They take their art very seriously with growing these flowers. And so they create these beautiful displays. Like these are huge displays. I got to carry a small display on my back, which was about 40 pounds. But these displays, I think they're well over 100 pounds or so. And they're very ornate and decorated. There are different categories for each. And so you see them, they walk, I think it's about 2 to 3 miles in August, which is not exactly a cool time of year. So that is really neat. It was really interesting to be able to learn about that. And I hadn't ever thought about Colombia as a flower producer either. There, fantastic listeners. Let's hit pause on this episode for a thrilling announcement, a golden ticket to Globetrot with Veggies Abroad. Veggies Abroad isn't just your go-to for vegan guides and trip planning tips. It's your passport to extraordinary small group journeys, carefully crafted by the ultimate veggie pusher and your favorite podcast host, me, Rebecca Gady Sawicki. I've spent countless hours researching the best vegan hotels, food, and experiences, and now I'm bringing those experiences directly to you. Join me and my newfound veggie pals on escapades to exciting and exotic destinations around the world. Whether it's trekking through the Thai jungle to witness elephants in their natural habitat, or staying at a carbon-neutral camp in Kenya during the Great Migration, our adventures are nothing short of spectacular. And guess what? Those aren't the only exciting trips awaiting you. So what are you waiting for? Cruise on over to veggiesabroad.com pronto. Well, how about after this episode is over to explore our dazzling lineup of trips and secure your spot on your next vegan adventure today.
What it feel like to carry the chair on your back, the sietero? Like, How much weight did you have in there? You said 40 pounds? Like, what
Yeah,
was
it
that
was
like?
about 40 pounds. It was fine. It like because of how it was balanced, it didn't feel really like 40 pounds. Now, I'll be honest that I walked it up and down the driveway. I wasn't walking it up and down a mountain or on a 3-mile path in, the summer heat. So I'm like, oh no, that's fine. Like, I'll keep going. But I think if the situation was a little bit different, I probably wouldn't have wanted to keep going.
Oh, that's funny. So the flower festival, does it get really crowded there in August when the Medellín flower festival is?
Yeah, it is a very popular thing because, locals get involved in it. Tourists want to come in for it. So, if you're considering visiting, I would book early in advance for it. And I saw a video for it. It looks awesome. In my head, I was like, what am I doing in August? I can't go back this year, but I would love to experience it.
Would you go back and volunteer to become a flower porter?
I do not think that I am eligible. I do not. You have to. Okay, so you have to be born into this. You have to be part of a family who is a part of it. So I am automatically wiped out. This gringa can't participate. I can only offer to volunteer, maybe to give someone water or cheer on the sideline.
Oh, yo no sé.
You got to work on your Spanish.
It's true. It's true. But you did go and drink some coffee. So tell me a little bit about your trip to the coffee region.
Coffee region. The coffee region is, really unique because it is more than just coffee. It is part of there's the area that makes up the coffee region is called the coffee axis, which includes the Cocora Valley, which is known for its giant wax palms and hiking. And honestly, it looks like it's somewhere in the Caribbean. Or like some remote island. It's really otherworldly beautiful. The Cocora Valley is home to these wax palms, which are the tallest palm trees in the world, and they can grow up to 200 feet. They really like seeing them firsthand. It was like, whoa, those are very, very, very tall. So back to the coffee part of the experience, this area is great for growing coffee because it's higher altitude, includes moderate rainfall and cloud coverage, which makes coffee plants very happy. It produces a very high quality coffee that's very, very strong. Firsthand, like, oh, geez. The first time I sipped one of them, I was like, I don't know that I can handle this. And they gave me almond milk in most places, and the almond milk was like unsweetened, and it was just fine. And it wasn't cutting it. At one point, I thought, I'm going to add water to this. But it's really beautiful. Getting there from Bogotá, you need to take a flight. You can drive, but I think it's about 8 hours. It's a considerable drive, so flying would be an easier way to get there. One of the cutest nearby towns is Salento. So you could stay there and explore some of the coffee areas and places from there, or you could go and stay at an actual working coffee farm like we did, which was really cool. Highly, highly recommend that.
So, can you tell me right now the top 3 countries for coffee production in the world?
No, I can't. You're trying to stump me. You're a jerk.
Maybe I can tell you then.
Okay, that's great. Fine, go.
Number 1, what do you think it is? Just take a guess.
Colombia.
No.
Oh, well, we're talking about Colombia. Why couldn't it be Colombia?
Well, it's obviously going to be in the top 3, but number 1 is, you've talked
Brazil.
about it a little bit.
Oh, damn.
Brazil.
Is it really Brazil?
It is Brazil. They produce 40% of the world's coffee supply.
Jeez, those guys do everything.
They really do. It's a huge country, though.
It is.
Okay, so number 2, what do you think number 2 is?
I hate this game. I don't know. Keep going.
Number 2 is Vietnam.
Oh, I was actually going to say Indonesia, so I was kind of close.
Indonesia is actually number 4.
Ooh.
And coming in at number 3
Is Colombia?
Yes, it is.
Oh, congratulations, Colombia.
Yes. Good job, Colombia. Anyway, yeah, that's really interesting. But they're very different regions. And they say that Colombian coffee is renowned for its high quality, mostly Arabica coffee grown at high altitudes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you just love the caffeine in it, I'm sure.
I don't know that I love it. I actually asked at one point, I was like, is decaf coffee a thing here? And our guide laughed at me. So the answer to that is no. I think unless you find a Starbucks, and you're only going to find a Starbucks in a major city. So either like cut it with some water or drink less. I don't know.
So one last thing, I guess, culturally, did you notice, like, is nature woven into everyday life at all there?
That's a really funny question. So
well, they seem very nature oriented. So, like, how do you see it intermingle with their lives?
Yeah. So I think as the country, changes and shifts and, moves into this next chapter, they are definitely embracing supporting the environment. And they really see that they have to do more to protect it. There are some really interesting things that I was really surprised about, and I was really disappointed that we're not doing here. Like at most major cities, you can't drive 1 day a week, and it's determined by how the numbers in your license plate end, and you'll get a hefty ticket. You have to walk, ride a bike, take the bus, do something else, but you can't drive. And it's to try and cut down the pollution in some of these cities. And they also, in some other cities as well, I saw this in Medellín, I think they do it in Bogotá as well, they will shut down major cities. They will shut down major streets on Sundays and holidays so that they're encouraging people to get out there and run, bike, walk, to do things. Where our hotel was in Medellín, there was a major road nearby, and we could see from our hotel, like the whole street was shut down and people really got into it. At first I thought like, oh, nobody's going to do that, are they? Nope, they did. There were people out there walking their dogs, they were riding their bikes, doing all kinds of things. Cycling is also a huge pastime in Colombia, which I was super surprised about. Not because I don't think people like biking, but because it's a challenging terrain. And then you got the altitude built into it as well. But no, they definitely like to get out there. There also there's a plan in Medellín. They have 2 airports right now, but the one is being closed, which is right in the city. And so they're going to close that. And it's their plan to turn it into a giant park, which will end up being larger than Central Park.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, we've gotten into a lot of the everyday life type things, the culture, the people, and we have yet to touch on
food.
The food.
We're 40 minutes into this and haven't even touched on food. Wow.
Which is amazing. Incredible. First of all, before we go into the food, like,
you're just going to push this off even further?
No, tell me like cost-wise. Like, this is about food, but tell me like cost-wise. Like, what do they use? They use the peso there?
Yes, the Colombian peso. If you're coming from the US, Canada, Europe, your dollar, euro goes pretty far.
What's your typical meal cost?
I think on average, maybe $10 or so.
Okay.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, and I'm considering like a drink or water, and then like a main entree, maybe something else with it. It kind of depends on where you are and where you are in the country, and the type of place you're at. I will say the most expensive meal I had was at a fancy restaurant on our last day in Cartagena, and I had a mocktail. I had a coconut ceviche. It was actually a ceviche in a coconut shell. It was really cute how it was presented. And then I had this traditional stew. And I think when it was all said and done, my total was $30-ish. So, and that was at a place that was fancy. Like, but yeah, it was not like a cheaper or middle range, like normal place. I also had like a really amazing crepe at another place. And we'll talk about this restaurant. I want to say it was less than $10. It was all really, really affordable. Yeah.
I want to know, what was the best thing you ate in Colombia?
Ooh, yikes.
And then I also want to know, what was the most common thing you ate in Colombia?
Best thing I ate. Okay, so in Bogotá, there's this little restaurant. It's part of a little boutique hotel. It's called Casa Leite. And it was a little on the fancier side, but it was not like outrageously priced. I had a pecan ragu there with it was like some type of a nut buttermilk in the middle and these beet noodles. It was crazy delicious. Like, I expected it to be good, but it was way, way, way better than I expected. Really, really flavorful, so tasty and so unique, like with how they made each thing, and it was beautifully presented. That was terrific. And then the most thing that I ate,
Most common thing.
I mean, I guess I'd have to say beans, because I did have like more traditional dish is like a bean and rice type dish, but there's also include plantains and avocado and arepas.
That's great.
Yeah. So I had some version of that a few times and it was delicious. Like, I wasn't disappointed ever to get it, because their beans are like, they're a different type of red bean that's just like super meaty, has great texture, great flavor. I actually almost bought some at a supermarket, and then I was like, oh, I'll be able to do this later, because I didn't have enough room like on me, and I didn't. And I'm now disappointed, because those beans like were the best beans I think I've like ever had. They're so delicious. Oh,
you kind of said that when you came back from
Greece.
And you had those giant beans.
Those were really good. I was thinking that same thing actually as those words came out of my mouth. Okay, so they're tied. They're great beans. Love those beans.
I love that you're the person that goes around and rates the beans around the world. Like best beans I had, Colombia.
Somebody has to do it. It's important. Like, you need to know.
You might need to change your name to like Beans Abroad or something.
Beans Abroad. I think that's catchy. People love that.
They would definitely love that.
More than beans. Anyway.
All right, let's get back into the food though. So you went to a bunch of different places. Who had the most vegan options between the different cities you went to?
Bogotá hands down did. When I was doing research before I left and I was saving everything, like my Google map was covered in red hearts. Like, it looked like it was bleeding. And I showed one of the guys traveling with us that was, from the main office there in Bogotá. And he was shocked. He was like, oh my gosh, like he knew that there were good options, but he didn't know that they were that plentiful. And then like I met another guide. I did a little tour to Montserrat in Bogotá, and she gave me more options, and I had more than I could even get to. I wish I had taken like an actual kind of count of how many places there were, but there's a ton. That is definitely, you will not go hungry in Bogotá. And Medellín also has a good number. They're a little more spread out than they are in Bogotá. Medellín isn't maybe quite as it's not quite as large as Bogotá, so that has an effect too, but there are some really great places there. And even in Little Salento, there were, I think, 3 vegetarian restaurants. In Salento, I'm serious when I say little, like it's not a big place, it's like a street. And then there was a fully vegan spot there as well too. So I was shocked to find that, because I thought, okay, this is going to be the beans and rice destination. I did have beans and rice there, but also there were plenty of other things to check out as well.
I saw some photos of a sushi place in Medellín, and it looked so good that you took. I was like, oh my, whatever she's having there looks delicious.
Halecho Vegan Sushi is in Medellín, and they have some super creative sushi rolls. They have some noodle dishes. It's a cute little place. I loved that. That was really nice. I ate so much that night.
I can tell you ate a lot there, man. You had like 7 pictures, and there's like these huge plates of sushi. Like then there's all these fries
yes.
and
I will
side
say with
dishes.
that photo, I did go with a colleague, but we both ordered way too much and ate way too much, but it was well worth it.
So you mentioned a crepe and waffle place. Did you have anything to say about that?
Crepes and Waffles is a really great franchise throughout Colombia, and now it's global. And it's a B Corp, which means it's operating at a higher level of transparency when it comes to its and the ways in which it operates as far as hiring, pay, environmental sustainability, all sorts of things. To be a B Corp, like you really have to care, and you really have to be. You can't just care. You have to be putting in a ton of effort as well to make that happen. And so they actually, when they first started, they were known for employing single moms and those in need. And then they would offer other benefits such as healthcare and housing. And in addition to that, they're well known for sourcing different crops from small farmers in the region that have historically been victimized by armed conflict. And so like it's an entire mission already, like right off the bat. And it was actually multiple locals recommended it to me as well too. And I was like, oh, are they really going to have vegan options? But they do. They have a small little vegan section. Their crepes, they also have options that are vegan and gluten-free too, which I was like super shocked. Their menu is giant. I actually wanted to go back a second time, but their hours didn't work out with my timing, unfortunately. Really, really fabulous, fabulous place. I highly recommend that you visit.
All right, so let's just touch on this very briefly. Any surprises or challenges you encountered as a vegan traveler in Colombia?
So surprises, cheese is incredibly popular. Like I wasn't prepared for that. Like they want to put cheese on absolutely everything. It's like a condiment practically. Like they eat chocolate with cheese, coffee with cheese, cheese on bread, cheese on cheese. It's just like cheese is everywhere. They had like, God, what was it? It was like, I don't remember what it was now, but I was like, that's cheese too? Like calm down with your love of cheese. Like how's everyone's cholesterol doing? And let's see, what else? Breakfast options sometimes were a little bit challenging. Like not,
really?
Honestly, as I say that, like I feel like it's actually not any more so than most places around the world with dealing with hotels. I ate oatmeal every morning, almost every morning. And that was kind of like the same as just about anywhere in the world. Like even if I was staying at a hotel in Berlin, I probably would have ended up with oatmeal. So maybe that really wasn't a surprise.
So you never felt challenged at any time, really like finding something to eat wherever you went?
No, I ate too much, really. I think like I was buying snacks in a grocery store and there is like, milk added to quite a few things. But again, I don't know that that's super shocking in most places in the world. I still did get plantain chips and a coconut candy. And I think something else as well, too. So, no, honestly, I expected to encounter more challenges than I actually did.
Oh, and were there any local dishes or ingredients that really stood out to you?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's been veganized, especially if you visit like a vegan restaurant. There are some, Colombian vegan restaurants in Medellín and in Bogotá. So you can find a lot of traditional dishes there that are super delicious. One thing that I really liked was a vegan sancocho, which is a hearty stew that has like a different veggie protein in it and normally like green plantains. And I think mine had chunks of corn in it as well too. That was super good. Another popular thing is bandeja paisa, which is a obviously rice, beans, plantains, arepa, avocado, which we talked about. Normally it comes with a meat as well, which you could have a veggie meat, but I don't know that it's necessary because the dish is already pretty large in and of itself. I think those two things were really what I had the most of. But I do see quite a few things that, like on other menus of places that I didn't make it to, that had been veganized that sounded really delicious too.
Very nice. All right. So now I just kind of want to go through city by city on this trip and just do a real quick, like, highlight breakdown for people. So I'll name the city and you do a quick breakdown, and then I'll name the next city and so on and so forth.
Okay. This is like I don't know, some kind of game.
This is like the lightning round here.
Lightning round. That's okay. That's the word I was looking for. Lightning round. All right, go lightning round.
All right, here we go. Number 1, the first place you went to was Bogotá. Break down Bogotá.
So Bogotá, what really stood out for me was beautiful street art. And a lot of the street art depicts a lot of the things the country has gone through. Artists are using it as a way to, share their frustrations, to, bring light to issues that are still happening, which is really great. Obviously, the food was crazy. Wow. Really, really great. You can do a street art tour. There's also that Peace and More tour that I mentioned on the onset. They're part of like a free walking tour thing that I think a company is called Beyond Colombia is running. Great. Highly, highly recommend. Another place that I loved visiting was the Palo Quemao fruit market and flower market. Wow, that place is super cool. We had a short visit there. But if you're like, you want to dive into the diversity of fruit, you have to go there. I tried so many fruits that I hadn't had before, like Lulu, Cape gooseberry, granadilla, tree tomatoes. I actually had lunch at a restaurant in Bogotá. I asked him what his juice of the day was, and he told me tomato. And I looked at him kind of funny, and I was like, tomato? And he was like, yeah, it's super delicious. And I was like, okay, when in Bogotá, go for it. And when I got it, I was like, this is really tasty. This doesn't taste like tomato. And then I learned about the tree tomato, which was different than the tomatoes that we all think about. Super, super tasty. Like, you have to go there and you have to do like a fruit tasting, because there's so many things you're going to be like, what the heck is this? Great. Loved it. Can't speak highly enough of it.
And you actually created your own street art, if I recall correctly from your video.
Yeah. So the street art tour I did, at the end of it, they took us to this little gallery that hosts art from a lot of the local artists there. And then on the top floor, they have a little outdoor area that they host for like events and team building type activities. And they have open walls. And so they encourage people to create their own tag. And so I did mine, and non-surprisingly, mine was a kitty.
Of course it was a kitty. All right. So moving on. Next, we went to Salento, the coffee region in the Cocora Valley. Hopefully you did some hiking in this area.
Yes, we did. We hiked through the Cocora Valley, which is just beautiful. I think beauty really is what I think of first and foremost with this area. Like, it's just incredible. It really knock your socks off. Really, really beautiful. The Coffee Triangle part of this area, though, is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is super interesting. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I don't think there's much more to say. You have to visit. You have to see it firsthand. You can't go to Colombia without it.
Did you try cacao fruit in the Cocora Valley?
Yeah, I've had cacao fruit before. It's super, super delicious. If you've never had it, go somewhere where you can. The fruit is like, it's a little slimy and it looks a little funny, but it's super, super tasty. We actually kind of learned the process of making it. We had to make some of our own chocolate. So chocolate traditionally is just cacao and sugar, and that's it. Over time, we've added other things to it to make it more easy to mass produce, to travel, and all of that. But basic chocolate is just cacao and sugar. and it was super delicious.
You really liked the chocolate that you made?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have bought more of it. Actually, I bought a ton of chocolate while I was in Colombia, but I would have bought some of that too.
I thank you very much for all the chocolate you brought.
You're very welcome.
All right, next on, we're moving to Medellín.
I think Medellín might have been one of my favorites, and just because I was so moved by the innovation of the city. It has, I don't know what year it was, but it was named one of the most innovative cities in the world a handful of years ago. It has its transformation story is really, really incredible to go from one of the most violent cities in the world. And one of the guys I was with, he told me that there was a point in history that you really couldn't walk on the street, that people, when they would go out, they were worried about like being shot, and like actually having a life there was pretty much near impossible. So it's really incredible now that you don't see that it's a completely different place. And one of the reasons it was named one of the most innovative cities in the world is the creation of this cable car system that connects to its metro. And then it also has these escalators in one of the other comunas, which is effectively a neighborhood. So the cable car and the escalators are meant to help increase mobility of people. So Medellín is like part of the city is built in a valley, and then the rest of it is up on mountainsides. And so it's incredibly challenging if you need to go from up on the hill, up on the mountains into the center of the city. Like, it could take people over 2 hours. And so these cable cars and the metro system has now made it possible for people who live way out there to get into the city in about 30 minutes. So it is increasing their ability to get jobs, to get around, to effectively have a life, which is, really kind of changed things for people's overall well-beings. They also, another unique thing about like the metro cable car system is they've created kind of a metro culture, which I thought was really interesting. And so inside the metros, they have little libraries. And so you can go and you can take out a library for your time on the metro, or you can take it out for a little bit longer. And it's to encourage people, obviously, to read, to learn. There are also digital libraries for people if you need to go and, work on homework, research things. And it's free if you're a resident. There also are escucheros, which are places with mental health professionals. And so if you're a resident, you can go as often as you need and talk to a mental health professional, so a therapist. And it's free. And you can get help on an everyday basis. So it's incredible the things that they have added to improve, society there for people.
But people on the metro are really just listening to their headphones, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, so culturally as well, like people are pretty quiet on the metro. They are like pretty respectful. It's not loud. It's really clean.
Do you see a lot of people like reading books from the library from the metro though? I
use the metro 3 or 4 times. So okay. And I honestly was engaged with like other conversations and things. So I wasn't paying attention to what other people were doing. But
did you see that? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, but we did ask, like, what has this actually been working? Like, what are the numbers? And so they've said that within tracking over the last handful of years that, yeah, people are taking advantage of these services. They are getting utilized. It's worthwhile.
But you don't see any busking on the subway or in the subway stations, like, Jimmy Fallon in the subway station with Bad Bunny or something like that. You don't see that kind of stuff? No,
Jimmy Fallon and Bad Bunny have not yet come to the Medellín metro stations yet. Maybe one day.
I'm just saying, like, do you see like street musicians and stuff like that, and like you would in New York?
It's a
or not
weird
really?
Question.
I like street musicians.
I mean, I don't know that I noticed any, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist.
All right. Okay, so that's Medellín. Did we cover that, or is there anything else you wanted to say about Medellín?
Let's see. Was there anything else with Medellín? No, I mean, I think the community there is just really incredible. And I will leave it as that.
Sounds good. Okay, the last place on our list is Cartagena. Tell me about Cartagena.
Cartagena is where you want to go if you want to enjoy the beach, warm weather, and like more traditional Caribbean vibes. It's really vibrant. It's really colorful. You have the walled city and then the city around it. The walled city is very historic. It's very beautiful. Locals don't live in it, though, so it's not really an example of like maybe what it's like to live there, but it is a unique part of their history. Really, really pretty area. It is a little more of a party area, so I'd keep that in mind when choosing maybe your hotel or what you want to do. But there's also a pretty good food scene, cool cafes, things along those lines.
I just want to touch real quick.
Yes.
Number 9 producer in the world for cacao is Colombia.
Number 9. Is Brazil ahead of it?
Brazil's number 7. Do you want to know who number 1 is?
Yeah, actually.
Ivory Coast.
And Africa. Oh, okay. Well, that makes total sense. Yes. Africa is the largest producer. Yes.
Number 1, Ivory Coast. Number 2, Ghana. Number 3, Indonesia. Number 4, Nigeria, and on and on.
Yeah. And a side note to that, though, is that chocolate is going to continue to get even more and more expensive because of climate change. Those regions in Africa have been devastated with the effects of climate change. And so I was listening to a different podcast that we should all expect extraordinarily high prices on chocolate come like this Christmas season. And unless things majorly change, or there are some companies that are doing some really innovative things with creating chocolate. If they don't get more investment, then this might become a luxury that we don't get to buy 18 bars of when we're in Colombia.
I have very few vices in this world,
I know,
and chocolate is one
yours.
of them. Like, please don't take my chocolate from me.
I'm just telling you. Anyway.
That's all right. We've talked a lot about Colombia.
Yes, let's just wrap it up with maybe some final tips.
Yes, let's get into the tips for future travel to Colombia.
So the best time of year to visit is December through April, but November and May are like considered shoulder seasons, which are also very good. Generally, depending on what time of year you're visiting, you are going to need to pack layers if you're visiting a variety of different areas in the country.
What's the one thing you should not leave home without when you're packing?
Well, I don't know. It's going to depend on what time of year you're going. Like a rain jacket, actually. Well, I don't know why I said that. Yes, rain jacket. I
set you up for that. Gee.
Yeah. Rain jacket. Don't leave without a rain jacket or an umbrella. And actually, I was reading a post by another girl who lives in Bogotá, and she was like, I even put socks in my bag. And I was like, socks? This is overkill, lady. I've got an umbrella. I've got a rain jacket. A poncho, maybe even. Now I'm making people think that like they're going into a typhoon. You're not. It's just like the weather is wild, okay? The weather changes drastically depending on where you are. And then let's see. In Bogotá, you will hear a phrase in Spanish. It is no dar papaya, which means do not give papaya. Papaya is a fruit that's very easy to pick. Like you can walk right up to it and pick it right off the branch. So it means do not leave your cell phone in your back pocket. Like have your bag open. Do not become an easy target for pickpockets because as in many major cities in the world, pickpockets are a problem and you don't want to invite them. So if you hear a guide say that, it is for a very good reason. But just remember, and I will say this for anywhere in the world, no dar papaya, kids. No dar papaya.
No dar papaya.
So the official language in Colombia is Spanish. You will find that most people won't speak English. In Bogotá and Medellín, more people did a little bit. If they're younger, maybe. But English is not taught as much in the school system. One of the guys was telling me, I think if you go to a private school, it is taught, but I do not think in public schools it is taught. It's something you would have to do on your own. So It is important that you learn some phrases before you go, that you utilize Google Translate. Hotels, like most people there, were bilingual for the most part. But if you're learning Spanish, it is a great place to go because you are going to be forced to use it. And it was one of my favorite things as well, because nobody could, switch to English because they just saw this blonde gringa come in and figured, oh, she's not going to understand. So great for that. And then getting around can be a challenge, like from city to city. I mean, just because of the topography of the country. So if you do look at the map and you're like, oh, that's not too far, you might want to map it. It's probably farther than you think. But there's a pretty good bus system throughout the country, within like Medellín, and there is obviously the great metro system. Bogotá has a bus system. I did not use the buses, but other people told me like no issue with that. And then there was not, to my knowledge, a train system connecting places. So something just to keep in mind when you're planning an itinerary, that you don't go overboard, because you might be cutting off more than you can chew.
Is there one memory you'll take with you from Colombia more than anything else, other than no dar papaya?
No dar papaya. I mean, honestly, the people are probably, and I say this about a lot of places, but Colombia especially, really, blew me away. Really, really inspirational. Really, really amazing. And the food was really great. The diversity of things was really cool. There's truly, truly a lot to love. I wish I had visited sooner, but I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to visit this year.
Well, it sounds great. I really like the saying, we're people walking from fear to hope. So that's something I will remember you talking about during this podcast.
Yeah, you'd like that guy too. He was a special character. So I think, do you have more questions for me?
I don't think so. I think we kind of covered everything, and in this short little time, I'm sure there's things we missed for sure.
But, oh my gosh, yes. I had contemplated, like, should I break this podcast episode up? But the last time I asked people about that, nobody responded. So I just did one giant download of this 9-day adventure. I mean, people, you better tell me what you want. I will have a couple newsletters focused on different aspects of Colombia. And of course, you can always reach out if you have questions. And who knows, maybe there could be a veggie tour in the very near future to Colombia to help you experience all the things that I loved. And I think with that, we'll wrap this up. Thanks,
Rebecca.
Thanks for joining me to chat again, as always. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a review. If you'd also like to learn more about upcoming Veggies Abroad tours or get additional travel help, visit veggiesabroad.com and also join our newsletter. It's the best way to stay up to date with loads of new content, like where to find gorgeous vegan hotels, what to eat in cities around the world, trip planning tips, and so much more. Well, that's all I've got for now. Until next time.